Senator Tate is recognized. Senator Gonzales.
Thank you, Mr. President. In committee, a litigator brought stacks of papers that I referenced in yesterday's debate. And this morning, my colleague referenced papers as well. And so I want to close by calling attention to another set of papers that arrived on all of your desks yesterday. It's short. You may have missed it. Maybe it's already in your filing cabinets. Maybe it's already in the recycle bin. But it's a letter from which I'll quote. Our direct experiences with the criminal justice system and our struggles with grief have all led us to the same conclusion. Colorado's death penalty fails victims' families. We never asked to be in this position and would do anything to change it. Nothing can erase the pain that a senseless act of violence brought into our lives. Thank you. But we can honor the memory of our loved ones and other families who may face tragedy by working for effective responses to violence. And so, to Ezra Aldern of Denver, son of Wendy Mae Aldern, murdered in Aurora, to Bob Ottoby of Pueblo, father of Eric Jason Ottoby, murdered in the Lyman Correctional Facility, Victoria Baker Wilford, daughter of Carolyn Jansen, murdered in Aurora, to Dale Beck of Estes Park, the brother-in-law of Christine Ann Clark, murdered in Wisconsin, to Margaret Beck of Estes Park, sister of Christine Ann Clark, murdered in Wisconsin, to Katie Benson Smith of Cotopaxi, daughter of Sergeant Mary K. Ricard, murdered in the Arkansas Valley Correctional Facility in Crowley, to Rachel Butel Hadley of Aurora, daughter of Tammy Augustine, murdered in Iowa, to Linda Burks Brown, the sister of Willie Frazier, murdered in Denver, to Brenda Carrasco of Denver, the cousin of a victim murdered in Denver, to Pastor Mike Pennington Devine of Denver, the father of Devon T. Sutton, murdered in Florida, to Barbara Scout Dunn of Fort Collins, the sister of John Kent Breckenridge, murdered in the Caribbean, to Judith Elaine, the sister of Ronald Eugene Shatler, murdered in Denver, to Frank C. Evans of Denver, uncle of Kassan Xavier Evans, murdered in Denver, to Mabel Inez Evans of Aurora, the grandmother of Kassan Xavier Evans, murdered in Denver, to Charlotta Evans of Aurora, the mother of Kassan Xavier Evans, murdered in Denver, and to Talisha Evans of Denver, cousin of Kassan Xavier Evans, murdered in Denver, to Robert M. May of Denver, the brother-in-law of a victim murdered in Oregon, to William H. Mays Evans of Aurora, the uncle of Kassan Xavier Evans, murdered in Denver, to Rachel Jean Gaines of Aurora, sister of Frederick Leon Martin, murdered in Missouri, to Jean Gregory of Denver, mother of Stephen Gregory, murdered in Aurora, to Sean Gruno of Westminster, nephew of Polly Elizabeth Sullivan, murdered in Denver, to Senator Lucia Guzman of Denver, the daughter of Tom Guzman, murdered in Texas, to Lieutenant Hollis of Denver, the uncle of Faye Johnson, murdered in Denver, to Calvin Hurd of Aurora, brother of Kassan Xavier Evans, murdered in Denver, to Lori Jansen of Boulder, daughter of Helen and Richard Pelham, murdered in Golden, to Arliss Keller of Greeley, the sister of Dwight Tobine, murdered in Arizona. To Brian Keller of Greeley, the brother-in-law of Dwight Tobine, murdered in Arizona. To Sherry Landrum of Denver, mother of Kurt Liddell Levias Jr., murdered in Denver. To Francie Kuzenga Leifer of Loveland, daughter of Reverend Dr. Henry Kuzenga, murdered in California. To Angela Lee of Denver, mother of Galen J. Armstrong, murdered in Denver. To Frank D. Lytle of Colorado Springs, son-in-law of Johnny Banks Sr., murdered in Indiana. To Rosemary Harris Lytle of Colorado Springs, the daughter of Johnny Banks Sr., murdered in Indiana. To Kathleen Maestas of Denver, mother of Jeronimo Mo Maestas, murdered in Denver. To Antoinette Martinez of Denver, mother of David Martinez, murdered in Denver. To Tom Mauser of Littleton, father of Daniel Mauser, murdered at the Columbine High School in Littleton. To Bernard Mays of Aurora, the nephew of Cass and Xavier Evans, murdered in Denver. To Michaela Mays Milliner of Aurora, cousin of Cass and Xavier Evans, murdered in Denver. To Elvira Maxwell, mother of Darren Dwayne Sneed and Charles Sneed Jr., murdered in Denver. To Dr. Mary McNeil Jones, PhD, of Denver, wife of Wayne McNeil, murdered in Kansas. To Rebecca L. Oakes of Denver, the daughter of Marge Kohnberg, murdered at Chuck E. Cheese in Aurora. To Sara Perez of Denver, aunt of Deontay McDonald, murdered in Denver. To Angel Perez of Denver, the cousin of Anthony Montoya Jr., murdered in Thornton. To Michael Pinelli of Englewood, the brother of Anthony Martinez, murdered in Illinois. To Amy Plapp of Colorado Springs, the sister of Stephen Plapp, murdered in Texas. To Lynn Porter of Aurora, the aunt of Cass and Xavier Evans, murdered in Denver. To Suzanne D. Price of Denver, mother of Andre Price, murdered in Denver. To Alice Randolph of Lakewood, the mother of Loren Anthony Collins, murdered in Aurora. To Christopher Randolph of Thornton, brother of Laurent Anthony Collins, murdered in Aurora. To Tim Ricard of Crowley, the husband of Sergeant Mary K. Ricard, murdered at the Arkansas Valley Correctional Facility in Crowley. To Gail Vanderjot Rice, sister of Denver police officer Bruce Vanderjot, murdered in Denver. To Dr. Robert Price, the brother-in-law of Denver police officer Bruce Vanderjot, murdered in Denver. To Gail Rogers of Aurora, the cousin of Cass and Xavier Evans, murdered in Denver. To Pris Sanders of Denver, the daughter-in-law of Stacy Cohen, murdered in Denver. To Marilyn Shelton of Denver, mother of Tyrone Ivan Adair Jr., Bossman Goody, murdered in Denver. To Christine Sykes of Denver, the aunt of Cass and Xavier Evans, murdered in Denver. To Carissa Tomlin of Aurora, the niece of Frederick Leon Martin, murdered in Missouri. To Barbara Ott Voss of Grand Junction, the sister of Thomas Ott, murdered in Connecticut. To Charles Derek Waits of Denver, the father of DeJuan Derek Childress, murdered in Denver. To Monica Lynette Waits of Denver, the stepmother of DeJuan Derek Childress, murdered in Denver. To Isaiah Ward of Denver, cousin of Carrick Summers, murdered in Denver. To Thomas G. Ward Jr. of Colorado Springs, the brother-in-law of Stephen Platt, murdered in Texas. To Domine Ware of Aurora, the niece of Frederick Leon Martin, murdered in Missouri. To Roy Wayne Watley of Aurora, the cousin of Cass and Xavier Evans, murdered in Denver. To David Works of Denver, the father of Stephanie and Rachel Works, murdered at the New Life Church in Colorado Springs. And to Marie Works of Denver, the mother of Stephanie and Rachel Works, murdered at the New Life Church in Colorado Springs, and to Davida Young of Denver, the family member of a murder victim. It is in your names, and with great respect, that I ask for an aye vote on Senate Bill 100.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President.